Touch of land right there. Ribbon Answer, Vengeance of Rain gets the card in. Alexandra Gold Run trying to push him out of the way. Delpech says, stay there. I go first. Marahel Pride next. Russian Pearl to the inside. Apollo went straight past the Yank. Touch of land, Ribbon Answer. Alexandra Gold Run went for the run on the fence and all shot on her. And Vengeance of Rain ran up. But Pride's coming on. Marahel closing. Pride is running at Vengeance of Rain. Vengeance of Rain is going to make Pride cutting her back with every stride. Half a length in it. Vengeance of Rain fights and wins the cup. Vengeance of Rain, the world champion now.
In last week's program on Anthony Delpech, we dealt with the early part of his career where he won several Grade 1 races, including his first Durban July, which was sponsored by Rothmans in those days. Of course, it was a horse called Classic Flag for David Ferraris, who was later on in his career going to provide him with the most unbelievable horse that he ever rode, a horse called Vengeance of Rain. But that's a long story, which we'll cover in part 3. We're going to finish tonight's program with Gray's Inn, who ran second to Vengeance of Rain in the Queen Elizabeth II Cup in Hong Kong, but of course provided Anthony Delpech with his second Vodacom Durban July winner. This was back in 2004 for trainer Mike de Kock and Bridget Oppenheimer. But before we get to that, we need to take you to Singapore, we need to take you to Dubai, and we need to take you to Hong Kong, where Anthony had some rather mixed fortunes, but great lessons were learnt for the champion jockey. This particular T-shirt vindicating the fact that Anthony Delpech holds the record for the most number of winners in one season, 335, a record that may never be broken. Nobody's really come close, and I think there are only 3 jockeys that have ever ridden more than 300 winners in one season, and they are Jeffrey Lloyd, Piers Stradham, and I think obviously Mark Kahn is one of the other guys.
The race we are now watching is Anthony Delpech's first win in Singapore. Easy? Wrong. It hasn't been easy, but he explains exactly how his first couple of weeks in Singapore have gone.
Well, Andrew, I think it's been very hard for me. I think I've made a big mistake by putting all my eggs in one basket by riding for the leading trainer, Malcolm Twaits, which I think the other trainers don't appreciate me being a freelance jockey and accepting all the rides for one trainer. And things didn't go well. So now it's like back to square one again for me. Start from the beginning again to ride for all the other guys. Because here, if you ride for one trainer, they don't trust you. They think you're going to give out information to the one stable. So I think I did the wrong thing, but now I have to be freelance more, ride for more different people, and maybe it will be better for me. I might have said a few wrong things in the beginning when riding a horse. Oh, this horse is working well, you know, and things like that. And the worst part is I can't come back and phone to the trainer and say, can I ride this horse next time? They don't like you to do that. They will put you on what they want to put you on. So all I got to do is ride winners, and they have the confidence in me to put me on the horses in the races. But at the same time, if you do too well, they don't want to put you on the horses because the horse's price will be too short. So I'd rather put somebody else. So it's a difficult situation, but it's a learning experience, and I'm just hoping to have a couple of winners. Andrew, I think they must have one of the best racetracks I've ever ridden on, by far. I mean, the one day, early in the morning, going to work about 5 o'clock in the morning, it was pouring with rain. And when I went to race it that same evening, it hadn't stopped raining. And we got to the track, and the track was good. It shows you how good the track must be. How the way they fixed up the course for the drainage is excellent. I think what they do need, I think more stable jockeys. And it will make things more easier than being a freelance to everybody else and a lot of trainers not having their own jockeys. Because it's a lot of trust here. And I think if more stables at stable jockeys, there'd be more trust.
So on the subject of trust, perhaps the most important thing for a professional jockey is to trust his body. And that's why Anthony Delpech has always been adamant that going to gym, stretching those muscles, flexing those muscles and keeping them supple and tuned in this rigorous sport is absolutely fundamental to the success of a champion jockey.
Anthony, the extravaganza of the Dubai World Cup, you've ridden in Singapore, you've ridden in various different parts of the world, but you must be really looking forward to rubbing shoulders with Frankie Dettori and guys like Michael Kinane, to mention but a few.
Yes, I think it's going to be a very exciting night, and it's going to be fantastic to be riding against those guys. It's going to be a bit of pressure on the night. It hasn't hit me yet, but I'm sure on the night, when the atmosphere will be there, then it's going to hit you. I'm only having one ride on the meeting. It shows you how hard it is to get a ride on the night, because 90% of the horses that are running on the evening are international horses. They're coming from overseas. They bring their own jockeys. It's going to be a fantastic evening, riding with the best jockeys everywhere in the world. Our stable hasn't been firing. We only had 6 winners this whole season. I only had 4 for the stable. But I'm very lucky. I ride for 2 outside stable, which got Arabs, and I've had 11 outside winners, which has helped a lot.
Is there a very big difference between riding thoroughbreds and Arabs?
Yes, there's a very big difference. They're much slower than the thoroughbreds, and they give up much more easier. They're horses that's only got a short little bit of run, and sometimes you think you sit and hold them up, and they don't give it to you. So you got to get to really know how to ride them a little bit. And they're horses that comes off the bit from about the 800, so you got to work very hard at them.
If you had to pinpoint anything, what would you say has been the problem in the Rob stable this year?
Well, I just think the horses that won last season were all in their place. I just think they've won their races, and they need to drop down in the handicap, and maybe next season they might have a chance of winning some races. We've got a lot of unsigned horses in the yard, which hopefully this end of this season we'll get some new horses and try again next season. You know, every trainer goes through that kind of thing, but maybe next season things will change.
So in other words, what you're telling us is that you do want to come back next season?
Yes, I do want to come back to Dubai. You can't keep on changing from places to places. I'd like to settle down here for a couple of seasons and see how well I can do. I think it's a place where you've got to give yourself a chance. You can't expect to come 1 season and 2 seasons and be at the top. What you need to do is come here a couple of seasons and hope to get a job with one of the sheikhs, one of the top stables, and then you'll be in the firing line.
As far as Felix was concerned, it didn't happen overnight for him in Hong Kong, and he's made it big time now.
Yes, I think like a place like this also, you need to come in and hopefully after a couple of years you get the break and you could ride many more winners and get a job with one of the top sheikhs. And you know, Ted Durkin's been champion jockey here the last 2 seasons, and when he first came here he was a work rider. He wasn't even riding in races. So all in life outside of South Africa you need a break, and you get your break and you ride your winners.
And here's Delpech taking command, 150 to go. African Lions gain and sticking to in the last 100. Wolf Whistle's running on. Delpeche's going to prevail. Delpech beat him. Delpech was titillized by Anthony Delpech. But Delpech is a top miler and he stays on well.
South Africa's champion jockey, Anthony Delpech. I'm sure that with Anton Marcus having won the first 2 races over here, it gives you a lot of hope and a lot of encouragement for the future, but I bet you'd like you to be riding today.
Yes, Andrew, I'd rather be out there riding, you know, obviously missing it, and it's not the same for a jockey to be standing here and watching the races, but my chances will come.
Obviously, it's nice to have Peter Dillon over here with you at the table, because I'm sure that to have a fellow South African rider to share this special day is obviously some kind of consolation.
Yes, it is. There's so many of us South African people here, and obviously it's very nice to be with your home mates and the guys that you've ridden with at home. And we're having a lovely day watching the racing today.
I've spoken to many people. They believe that you've done exceptionally well, but obviously it must be frustrating having 7 winners when you're used to riding a lot more.
Yes, it is very frustrating. I don't think I've done well enough myself, but the 2 top stable, David Hayes' stable, he's got a stable jockey, Gerald Massey, and then John Sy's stable, he's got Shane Dar. And then Dougie has 100% choice of every other yard, and whatever's left after that, then you can choose. But that's still, I can't choose, because then there's other jockeys that's been here many more years than what I have been. So it is very, very tough. You know, once you start riding winners and start doing well, then they will put you on. But it's all here. It's not about how good you are, where you were from. It's how good you are here. And I think it's time will tell. I don't think Dougie was champion jockey in his first 2-3 years here. He's been here 7 years, and he deserves to have what he's got today. And he's a great rider. I mean, you got to watch him. He's brilliant. He knows this track upside down. And my turn will come. I've just got to hope that I can make it.
There's such a huge difference between the beauty of living in Mount Edgecombe as opposed to living in a kind of a cabin.
We got the best life in this country. Obviously, if the stakes were much higher, we all would be staying at home. But obviously, the stakes are much bigger there, and our career is only short. So we've got to make the best of it now, early, as we're still young.
We've had 10 years of democracy. You jump on Mrs. Oppenheimer's horse, number 10, drawn 13, as was Principal Boy, and bingo. The Dullorn kid is back on the block after 1998.
Yes, Andrew, it was a good welcome back. It was so beautiful to have won this race, and how many people enjoyed me being back, and it was a great moment for me, and I think it's one of the greatest moments of my career, especially to carry the Oppenheimer's colours to victory in the Vodacom July.
You were victorious for them on Harmony Forever when London News was expected to bring back the Guineas, but that was in different colours, although the name Oppenheimer was still associated with that horse.
Yes, that's when I was their jockey. I rode for them for 2 years with Dennis Dreyer. It was beautiful, but this one was definitely special, especially just being back for a week, and all of a sudden, every horse I sat on prior to the July 1, so it was a great welcome back. Unfortunately for Waichong, he couldn't make the weight to ride such a fantastic horse, you know. But he gave me a lot of confidence about the horse. He told me how much the horse has improved prior to his last run. So it's very nice to have a jockey to come and give you a bit of idea about the horse, because I knew very little about him.
What is it really about riding in the July that made you feel so calm?
I believe to ride in the July and to be able to win a July, you can't go in the race being nervous, or nothing bothered me. And I've even had a chat with Mary Slack's daughter, Jessica, before the race. She says, how can you be so relaxed? On our way up to the start, obviously Mark being a friend of mine, he was riding yard on. And I was speaking to him, I said, Mark, you know, do me one favour. If you win this race, make sure you spend as much time as you can for the moment. It's a special moment, and you must make sure you stay out there and enjoy the moment, because the moment doesn't last for long. And it ended up being me, and I made sure I enjoyed the moment. It was a special moment, and I made it last forever. And I'll never ever forget that. And I won obviously the Rothmans July, but winning the Vodacom July was extra special to me. It's something I will cherish, and I just never wanted to get off the horse's back, because I just believe it was a moment that you didn't want it to end, and it ended beautiful, and I'll never ever forget this moment.
Gray's Inn swoops into the lead, the last 150, and Gray's Inn. This day belongs to Gray's Inn, drawing away.